Welcome to In Conversation with Hemali. Priyank Patel, founder of national award-winning socially inclusive cafe chain in Raipur in 2013, is with us today. His cafe is called the Nukkad Tea Cafe, which runs with an aim of creating an interactive space and empower the marginalized segment of the society, which is the hearing impaired, the dwarfs, trafficking survivors, and the transgenders. Social marginalization is considered to be a form of oppression where people belonging to a certain group of communities are excluded from meaningful participation in socio-economic, cultural, and political affairs, and are thus neglected and isolated. But Priyank Patel decided not to let this happen. Nukkad Tea Cafe grew and has 4 outlets in 2 cities and has employed and empowered over 200 people. Nukkad Tea Cafe works at promoting social inclusions and equality. They have started to work with members of the LGBTQ community since 2015. In 2020, the cafe received a national award for the best employer practices and were awarded the prestigious Helen Keller Award too. Welcome, Priyank Patel, on the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me over.
So shall I just jump into my question answer session?
Yeah, we can proceed with that.
All right, sure. So how did this concept of empowering people come to your mind?
But to begin with, like I'm an engineer. I'm an electronics and telecommunication engineering. I did my engineering in 2007. And post my engineering, I got a job. So I went to Delhi and other metro cities to work with my profession. And while working there for at least 3 to 4 years, I got to realize that the core satisfaction which I was seeking is somehow missing. Like I was not very much comfortable in the skin of that kind of IT profile I was working into. So I started volunteering for various organizations. I started volunteering my work for the slum children, for the people of marginalized communities. And that particular experience was giving me a little of satisfaction. So one fine day while working in the IT sector itself, I came across this advertisement of a fellowship program, which stated that they are seeking youngsters from across India for venture into social development. So prior to that, I had no experience of social development. I knew nothing about NGOs and how do they work. Okay. Once I got to see the opportunity, I realized like this might be something which I shall be attempting. So I attempted for that fellowship period and eventually got through the procedure. And once I got selected into that fellowship, the procedure was like they were picking 25 individuals from across India. And then once they get the training, then they were placing them into various NGOs across India to work on some individual projects.
Okay.
To learn about the community, to learn about the challenges the society living to, and further other aspects. So once I dwelled into that particular zone of like, society, once I got to interact with the communities, once I got to see that disparity in a society where I could see that there's a big segment of society which is denied of their basic amenities in life and they're denied of basic human rights. On the other side, while I was seeing the youth and youngsters and the people in metros are living their life at very peace.
Yeah.
So just to create that sense of informed choice, my own concern was like, I shall be creating a place which shall be working as an inspirational zone where people can come and seek inspiration and get to understand the challenges of for the other communities which resides in their own society. So working around that idea, we developed this concept called Nukkad, in which we promoted that we shall be working with various communities. We shall be creating space. We shall be giving voices to the people who could not get any choices, who were not given any opportunities before. And there's a huge number because if you go by the figures only, you get to see that at approximately 65 million deaf people in India. And the ratio 65 million approximately.
Wow.
And the number, the number of opportunities for these people are very limited. They're either getting reservation into the government sector because the private sector is not coming willingly forward.
Right.
So the indifference in the opportunities and seeing the issues that the companies was going through, we developed this idea, like we promoted this idea as a thought where we will be giving employment to the community. At the same time, we will also work sensitizing society. Like whosoever is visiting Nukkad, once they visit Nukkad, they get to understand the challenges the communities are going through. They get to interact with them in a safer environment, in a closer environment where they can get a free space, where they can be in their own skin. So this interaction, this communication is the core key of Nukkad. Like we promote creating a place where people of different communities can interact and learn from each other, can know about each other's challenges and issues they're going through. So this eventually creates an equal environment. This eventually, not just by giving employment is just a key aspect of Nukkad. By giving employment, we are trying to create an open space, but our further, or you can say the core agenda is creating an equal society where we are promoting, where we are engaging the individuals to come to Nukkad, experience the Nukkad, and eventually get to understand the community's challenges as well.
Right. So Priyank, when you decided to start with this, where you decided that you wanted the marginalized society to work for you, of or you wanted to help them, how did your family react to it? Were they in support of your decision?
It wasn't at the beginning because they were a little reluctant about because none of my family member has ever done either business or went into social development. So
Okay.
me venturing into social development sector or attending something called a business model was very new to them, and they were a bit reluctant. They were not much in support, and as always happens with parents, because they wanted to have their children be happy.
Yes.
But once they seen the conviction in me, once they got to see the enthusiasm in me in delivering something, so they got agreed. Okay, you shall get 3 months time, buffer time, at least attempt what you're attempting for. And in case you fail into something, if in case you're not able to deliver what you're attempting to, you can come back and rejoin the things that you wanted.
Lovely,
So,
lovely.
in that buffer period of 3 months, yeah, like in that buffer period of 3 months, I ultimately, you can say, put everything I had on stake and ultimately delivered the Nukkad.
Lovely, fantastic, and congratulations to you on that one. और ये नाम भी जो आपने रखा है नुक्कड़ टी कैफे, वो that itself is so inviting. मतलब नुक्कड़ नहीं, जैसे हम जब मैं छोटी थी तब मैं टीवी पर प्रोग्राम देखती थी, नुक्कड़ नाम का एक प्रोग्राम आता था.
Right, quite popular program.
Yes, so it's such a lovely name that you decided on. So I would like to know that how have the marginalized communities experienced and responded to the contemporary community development practices that you brought forward when they
yeah, I understand. I guess it worked a little in mutual consent, because the committee which we worked with had no experience of working into hospitality sector, and engaging them into a sector which is highly customer centric, where people demand you to have interaction, and putting a deaf person in a place when there's a huge customer interaction happening, it was a little challenging, and the company itself had no prior experience of working into the sector. So we had to convince them as well that this can be a potential solution. This can be another opportunity where they can engage into. And secondly, on the same time, we were also training and grooming them. Like when we hired our very first deaf employee, because I had no experience of talking in sign language, but I learned sign language. I made it as a compulsion that the entire team of Nukkad learns sign language, because most of the employees of our committee, of our team, are of hearing impaired community. So because the larger chunk is from hearing impaired community, so we made it as a compulsion that everyone who joins Nukkad has to learn about sign language. So we learned sign language. We developed some unique sign codes of Nukkad's menu, so that the people who are coming and visiting Nukkad get an idea like how to interact with the people. And to make it easy, we put paper and pen on the tables as well. Like you are visiting Nukkad, you'll get a menu which having all the menu items mentioned, and at the bottom you'll get to see that this is a social enterprise which encourages you to use the sign language, or else you can put your orders in writing. So once you put your orders in writing, the staff would come pick your orders, and then they'll proceed over and ultimately bring it to you. So while creating this entire channel, our main focus is that consumers should not get any difficulty in experiencing Nukkad. The consumer's comfort should be at prime priority. And secondly, the team, the specially able kids, the specially able youth shall not also be feeling dejected, like, yeah, because they could not speak and they're not being of they cannot be of any use. So we tried balancing both of them. Training of the committee, engaging them in a safer environment, in a closer environment where they are getting equal chances, and changing some little, tweaking a little into the system as well. Because prior to this, our boss had no flash, once the order pops up or some orders get ready in the kitchen. So we maintain a system like once the order get ready, a flashlight flashes. So the server gets an idea like the order got ready. So they go to the kitchen, brings your order and serves it to you. So ultimately, all these little challenges that we made into the system, so that the person who's attempting these should not feel like they're helpless, they're not getting access to the system. So creating a training module, making little changes into the system, and at the same time creating comfort for the consumer as well. This has been the core idea behind it.
So Priyank, was this totally your concept, or did you have a team that was helping you to build it up?
I guess we learned from each other, because the basic idea I had about how we can engage different people into the sector. At the same time, the community itself was giving a suggestion like how they can get engaged.
Okay.
Like because I had no idea of talking into sign language, so the deaf team whom we hired, actually taught me how to talk in sign language, how to interact with the community, and the basic signs that we learned from each other. And eventually they taught me how to deliver a system, how to make this entire procedure error free, how we can efficiently create a module that we can replicate. So this had been a co-effort. Like they were teaching us, we were learning from them, and eventually I was giving them some insights about the hospitality, like what is the serving pattern, what's dishes being served first. Like they spend much of time in kitchen to understand like what has been the pattern, size, portion size, and everything. So this is the effort that we learn from each other. We had definitely we've been making mistakes. We were learning from our own mistakes. There are still issues when we see that order of table number 7 is being delivered to table number 10. But this is little okay because we know that we are in the process of learning from each other. And if we keep on learning from mistakes, then only we'll make a better version of ourselves.
Sure. So, I'm just thinking that as a customer, the customer doesn't know how to react to all this. It must have been quite a challenge for you. So how did you promote mutual cooperation between the community members and the society to develop a self-reliant community?
I guess it was more of on the society's part because I just proposed the idea of Nukkad to the community, to the society. Like this is a particular place where we are employing spatially able community people. So if you're coming to Nukkad, you shall come with some little, some of little prejudice, like how do the community work. So once a person enters to Nukkad, the entire experience is totally different because in general hospitality, whenever you visit a restaurant or cafe, you get to see a captain coming to you, asking you what you want to have in your orders, and then you place your order and everything delivers to you. But in our process, we ask you to remove your shoes. In many of our outlets, we ask the consumers to remove their shoes because we have floor seating. So we encourage people to remove their shoes, and we have put up a poster outside which mention like remove your shoes and worries outside. So you enter into Nukkad, getting your shoes out, and once you settle down, then we have all that pen and paper on the board, and the menu we have mentioned like why we're asking you to put your orders right. So we're doing all these little efforts, giving them a little comfort and asking a little favor that they shall, because it's obvious that the people who are visiting Nukkad are putting a little effort. It's not that easy because interacting with person in sign language or trying to put your orders in writing or waiting for a glass of water, like if you're asking a glass of water and struggling for that because you don't know how to sign. So that struggle of 35 seconds is actually a struggle of the entire community for lifelong because the deaf community has no voice to speak of that. So ultimately what we're trying to do is giving you an experience. For that experience, we are asking you a favor that you shall be putting these much of efforts, and society has given that to us. Like for last 8 years, it has been a phenomenal experience. The society has given us full flavored support. They came in numbers. They given the idea wholehearted support. They appreciated the thought, and they ultimately understood that Nukkad is not just merely a concept cafe. It's a thought which ultimately attempted to create a Rica society. So once the community understand that this is a larger motive, so they eventually given more efforts and eventually supported the idea more.
Lovely. So, but Priyank, I'm sure that somewhere or other you must have faced difficulties. Can you share with us an anecdote of something that you
I
faced?
guess one such incident that I recall is of the early days when we just started Nukkad in 2014, I believe. There was a group of college kids coming to Nukkad, and because the concept was little new, so they were also not aware about the situation, like who is serving, what is the pattern, and things like. And while interacting, I overheard one of the girls saying, "Arey, kaisa pehra staff hai yaar, ye to respond nahi kar raha karke." So I need to intervene impersonally. I interacted with the consumer. I told them this has been an intentional plot. We intentionally hired the community from hearing impaired segments just to make it a point that there's a large number of people. And I actually explained them the entire idea and why it is essential that we shall be respecting the ambience and team as well. Because the person who's serving you has no, like, he's serving you flawlessly. He's putting best of his efforts. He's trying to do as best as he can. And the only opportunity he's got, he's trying to utilize the best of it. So the least we could do is giving them the dignity that they deserve. Yeah. So that's why I try to make them understand. And eventually it went really well because they became a little guilty because they had no idea like this had been a situation. So this has been only the one incident post which I believe most of the people who are coming to Nukkad are at least a little aware that this place has special team members. So they are accepting about the idea. They are definitely give the due dignity and respect ambience and team as well.
So आप ये बताइए कि between the young people and the older generation, which was more easier to convince that this is we are all.
I guess the younger generation was a little easier. Younger generation was far easier. Because I guess the issue had been of the prejudices that the pre-notion that our society is having, of the decades of conditioning that we've been taught onto. So this has made us a little, you can say, reluctant about accepting a transgender, or accepting a person with a hearing impairment, accepting a person of autism.
Yep.
We are not prone to see such people around us very comfortably in a comfortable environment. And once you get to see such people around you, the discomfort actually diminishes, and you started accepting the people. So this generally comes quite easy into the younger people, because they have little less prejudices, you can say, than to the elderly people. But eventually, in my personal capacity, in my personal experience, I have generally observed that the people of every single age group that have visited Nukkad has eventually accepted the idea. They had no issue ever with the community who's serving to them, with the people who are around them, or the concept that we are working on.
Right, fantastic. So, Priyank, I definitely would like to ask you to leave a message, but before you leave a message for the audience, I would like to speak to the staff who is there with you, sitting there with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess this is a little important as well, because me talking about the idea and telling you that the community got empowered, people got empowered, the society is changed.
I would like to know
But the team exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just want to know, how empowered do they feel by getting this opportunity, and what kind of experience did they have at the cafe?
So with me, I'm having Asmita. Asmita is from LGBTQ committee. She's a member of LGBTQ committee. Asmita, Hemali is there. We have with us Manish. Manish is from Buff committee, and Manish and Asmita is with us for 1.5 years. Manish is with us for last 3 years. And आप लोगों के एक्सपीरियंसेस कैसे हैं एक कम्युनिटी से प्रेजेंट करने के बाद में, अगर आपको एक अपॉर्चुनिटी के तौर पे नुक्कड़ मिलता है, तो सोसाइटी जनरली इस आइडिया पे जब आपको नुक्कड़ में एक्सपीरियंस करती है किस तरीके से लेती है, या आपको ये थॉट कैसा लगता है, ओवरऑल इंडिविजुअली आपको क्या लगता है, और ये एक्सपीरियंस होने के बाद में सोसाइटी का परसेप्शन कितना बदला है कम्युनिटी का, ये ब्रीफ में मैम जानना चाह रहा हूँ. तो कोई भी आप बता दीजिए.
मैं आपको बताना चाहूंगी नुक्कड़ ही एक ऐसा प्लेस है जहाँ पे मार्जिनाइज कम्युनिटी को लिया जाता है. बाकी जगह तो हमारे कोई पूछने वाले नहीं होते हैं, और कंडीशन अभी भी वही है जो पहले थी. लोगों की सोच और लोगों का नजरिया अभी भी नहीं बदला है, और ना बदल सकता है, क्योंकि उस भावनाओं से हमें नहीं देखा जाता है. सिर्फ नुक्कड़ के ही भरोसे हमारा जीवन कब तक चलेगा, क्योंकि एक प्रोसेस है, उनकी सोच है, उस सोच के अनुसार वो काम कर रहे हैं. तो हम यहाँ भी काम कर रहे हैं, तो बेटर फील होता है, बहुत अच्छा लगता है. ये नहीं फील होता है कि हम यहाँ ट्रांस बन के काम कर रहे हैं, या फिर मार्जिनाइज कम्युनिटी वाले जैसे काम कर रहे हैं. हमको बिल्कुल फील होता ही नहीं है, सारी चीजें फील नहीं होती. बट नुक्कड़ के बाहर जैसे जाते हैं, तो उस रोड पे या फिर आउटसाइड के लोग टोंट मारना स्टार्ट कर देते हैं, बोलते हैं कि देखो जा रहे हैं, इनका कहानी क्या है, बस ताली बजा के पैसा मांगना और सेक्स वर्किंग करना, बस इतना ही तक है. हमारी जिंदगी सीमित नहीं है. हमारे बहुत सारे रोल प्ले कर सकते हैं. एज ए टीचर बन सकते हैं, डॉक्टर बन सकते हैं, बट लोग हमें ना शिक्षा देने एक शिक्षक बनने दे सकते हैं, ना एक डॉक्टर बनने दे सकते हैं, और ना ही कुछ बनने दे सकते हैं. सिर्फ हमारा काम, हमको सिर्फ एक ही चीज के लिए बनाया गया है, बोलते हैं सिर्फ ओनली सेक्स वर्क के लिए. हमें एक सेक्स वर्कर नहीं बनना है, हमें भी एक शिक्षक, एक डॉक्टर, एक मतलब एक प्रोफेशनल बनना है. ऐसा नहीं है, हम भी एक्टर बनना चाहते हैं, हम भी मॉडल बनना चाहते हैं. बट जब तक कि सोसाइटी में लोगों की भावनाएं, मतलब जो सोच है हमारे प्रति, वो जब तक चेंज नहीं होगी, तो कुछ भी पॉसिबल नहीं है.
बिल्कुल. थैंक यू सो.
और अभी एनजीओ के द्वारा बहुत सारे सेंसिटाइजेशन प्रोग्राम हो रहे हैं, और छत्तीसगढ़ में विद्या राजपूत के द्वारा और रवीना परिहर जी बहुत सारे प्रयास कर रही हैं.
In this state, Hemali, we are having a lot of work happening for the committee, in favor of the committee, because I believe exclusively in Chhattisgarh there has been a lot of progress for the committee's welfare, because Chhattisgarh being the very first state that has employed transgender committee into the police services. And we are having 13 transgender got recruited into the police, and they are employed currently at various positions. And also we have shelter home for the trans community. We are having, like, Asmita is a graduate. She done her BBA, and she has done her BBA. But she's an exception. Like, it doesn't happen very regularly that a trans person gets such opportunities and get access to higher education.
Yeah, Asmita, thank you very much. आपने जो बातें share करी है, and to my audience who are watching, yes, it is time for us to think a little more and be more acceptable. We're all the same after all, isn't it? Thank you so much, Asmita. Manish, आप कहें.
नमस्ते मैडम.
नमस्ते.
मैं यहाँ नुक्कड़ में मेरे को काम करते हुए 4 साल है. मैं यहाँ मेरे को अच्छा लगता है. दूसरे जगह तो हम लोग को भी काम मिलता नहीं है, क्योंकि हम लोग को भी यही नुक्कड़ है, और दूसरे जगह जाएंगे तो काम फिर चिल्लाना, फिर और कुछ करना, फिर और कुछ बोलना. ऐसा छोटा लड़का जा रहा है, तेरे को बांध भी जा रहा है, ऐसे जा रहा है, वैसे जा रहा है बोलते हैं. यहाँ तो बोलते नहीं है, दूसरे जगह तो बोलते रहते हैं. हम भी बाहर जाते हैं तो मतलब लोग एकदम घूर के देखते रहते हैं हम लोग. देखो छोटा लड़का जा एकदम हंसी मजाक करते रहते. बस यही में एक नुक्कड़ एकदम ऐसा है नुक्कड़ जो हम लोग को मतलब काम के लिए रख रहे हैं.
कस्टमर के साथ कैसे इंटरेक्शन होता है, कस्टमर से बातचीत कैसे होती है, कैसा कस्टमर कैसा रिएक्ट करता है हमसे?
कस्टमर भी यहाँ अच्छे
मतलब मनीष की कैपेसिटी में बता दूं, मनीष की कैपेसिटी मनीष नहीं बता रहा, हो सकता है शर्मा रहे होंगे. मनीष इज वेरी टॉकेटिव और हमारे क्या शी इज वेरी टॉकेटिव. और वी इन दिस पर्टिकुलर प्रीमाइस व्हिच आई एम सिटिंग इनटू, दिस हैज 3 फ्लोर. सो हमारे रूफटॉप पे जनरली जब भी संडे इवनिंग वगैरह में फुल क्राउड होता है, तो मनीष हैंडल्स देम सोली. वो अकेले उसको पूरे क्राउड को हैंडल करते हैं. उनको बेस्ट डिशेस के बारे में बताना, रिकमेंडेशन देना, उनके ऑर्डर समझना. तो डिस्पाइट ऑफ जितने चैलेंजेस सोसाइटी उनको बारे में लेके चलती है, यार क्या यार शॉर्ट हाइटेड बंदा है, कहां कर पाएगा, बट ही हैज प्रूवन ऑल ऑफ देम रॉन्ग. मुझे लगता है कि जितने भी नोशंस इन सोसाइटी के उन सब के अगेंस्ट जाके ही हैज प्रूवन हिज पॉइंट. सिंगल हैंडेडली मुझे लगता है कि अगर एक साथ 15 टेबल्स को और 25-30 कंज्यूमर्स को एक साथ हैंडल करना, आई पर्सनली अप्रिशिएट दिस इज नॉट एन इजी टास्क. वो अपने आप को इस कदर प्रूव करके लेके आना, वो अपनी कैपेसिटी पे कर पा रहे हैं सारा कुछ. To
build that confidence in oneself that I can do it if you can, and he has proven it. Absolutely. हाँ जी मनीष, और कुछ कहना चाहेंगे तो please go ahead. All right. Thank you very much, Manish. Thank you very much, Asmita, for sharing your thoughts with us. Priyank, I'm going to ask you to leave a message behind for the viewers, please.
I guess the only, it won't be a message, it would be a favor that I'll be seeking from everyone who's listening to this video. That my attempt, or you can say our team's attempt, is just to create equal and accessible opportunity for everyone who has never been given a chance. And what I guess this gap can diminish easily if each of us at least make a friend in different community. If we start making friends in transgender community, if we start making friends in a visually impaired community or a deaf community, I guess the gap would diminish pretty easily. So rather than me only being a flag bearer and trying to create an equal society, I guess the least I can expect from each one of you is that you shall start making friends. And I appreciate every single individual who are already doing attempts, already making friends. Do spread the words and keep creating friends in different communities so that we shall be creating an equal society as early as possible.
Absolutely. And I would say, may your dream come true, Priyank. To my viewers, I will be putting in the links for you to get in touch with Priyank if you need to, if you want to find out more about how he manages the whole thing. And I think it's high time that we stand up on our feet and stop believing that I'm perfect and the other isn't. We are all blessed by God, and let's thank God for that. And like he said, be friends, accept people. After all, we're all the same, right? Thank you very, very much, Priyank. Thank you, Asmita. Thank you, Manish, for being with me. Priyank, wishing you the best. And my viewers, if any of you ever happen to go to Raipur, or if you are in Raipur, definitely go to Nukkad Tea Cafe, because that's what you should be doing, isn't it? Nukkad Cafe. Thank you very much, Priyank. Thank you so very much.